The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone. Just wondering if everyone's able to hear me okay. Can everybody can type in the chat window please to indicate whether you can hear me okay? Perfect. Thanks, Stuart. Thanks, Brennan. Appreciate it. We're just going to give ourselves just a minute or two. Thanks, Elise. We're just going to give ourselves a minute or two to let others join, and then we'll kick off. So I hope that's okay with everybody. Okay, so it's 2:02. I think we should all begin. If you guys hear any background noise, just let me know. There's some work we've detected just happening just for now, so we'll work with that. Okay, thanks, Elise. So. Welcome to the session. Today's session is about keeping and managing your Active Directory employee information up to date. So this session is a shared session between partners Hyperfish and Antares Solutions. The presenters today are going to be Jacob Masiolik, Vice President Sales from Hyperfish, who will be covering all about Hyperfish and what the product can, all the cool things that the product can do. My name is Sulabh Jain. I manage products and solutions at Antares Solutions here.
And good afternoon, everybody.
Thanks, Jacob. So just a brief agenda for today. We're going to cover just very briefly about Antares and Hyperfish, so you know who we are, the sort of work we do, and what we're all about. We're then going to get right into it, and Jacob will cover a story about Hyperfish and how he can manage how Hyperfish can help manage the Active Directory. And then I will take over and talk about the entire corporate directory solution, which really builds on what the all of the grunt work that Hyperfish does. Is that okay with everybody? If there's any any other agenda items that you'd like us to cover, feel free to ask that as well. Just in the interest of time, I will move on. So Antares Solutions is a Microsoft Gold partner. We've been in the industry for about 10 years, and we focus on three key practice areas. Productivity is basically around all enterprise content management, a lot of work on Microsoft SharePoint, Microsoft Azure. We do a lot of work around workflow process management, social collaboration, build a lot of intranets, and staff directory just happens to be a part of that. Data solutions is about building complex enterprise data warehouses, allowing organizations to make better sense of their data, and then taking that to a next level and turning that into knowledge and key business intelligence information for the organization. And application development covers a range of things. It can include anything from bespoke application development, covering websites, integration with other systems, mobile application development, etc. And supporting these three key practice areas are our managed services area, which provides support on any application tool or system we build, and quick start solutions. So being in the industry for 10 years, we have developed a lot of IP based on industry verticals and based on a number of industry problems that have been given to us. These solutions really help us to accelerate the development process and the implementation for the organization while cutting down rapidly the time to deployment as well as the costs involved. These are just a selection of our clients that we have worked with in the last 16 months or so. It's not a complete list of our clients, but some of our prominent clients include Mission Australia, Rabobank, New South Wales Health, Parliament of New South Wales, Luxbet, Aristocrat, Campbell Page, Insurance Australia Group, Brookfield, Dexus Property Group, O'Brien Glass, and so on. So we really work with clients of all different shapes and sizes across a large number of industries. So I'd just like to get started with a quick poll. I'd just like to ask all of you a simple question. Is your Active Directory up to date? So with that, I will just kick off the poll. You should be able to see that come up on your screen. So if you don't mind just participating and let us know if you think your Active Directory is up to date or not. I'll just give you about a minute or so for you to be able to poll the results. Okay, so okay, thanks for all those who have voted. So I can see basically 33% split across. So few people have their Active Directory up to date. Some don't, and some don't know if it's up to date, and that's all good. This session is all about how we can utilize Active Directory data to not only find people and skills and responsibilities, but also making sure that Active Directory is up to date on an ongoing basis. Thanks for that. I'd like to open another poll. And I want to ask about how do you actually find people within your organization when you're looking for people based on certain skills, responsibilities, or you want to find people based, if they've completed certain projects in the past, etc. So I'll open that poll as well. If you don't mind just participating on that, that would be great as well. Just give everybody maybe 30 seconds or so. Okay, so most of the people search for people within their own intranet, and 33% of people ask around their colleagues and rely on word of mouth. So that's good to know. Thank you all for participating in those two polls. Appreciate it. It'll help us to cover the rest of the session based on these results. Thank you for that. Okay, is there a question? Okay, so with that, let me now introduce you to Jacob. Jacob, as I said before, is a Vice President of Sales for Hyperfish, and he's going to talk to you all about what Hyperfish can do for your organization's Active Directory. So over to you, Jacob.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, so Hyperfish has been around for about 13 months now. We were founded back in 2015 September, and our first product, which is Hyperfish for Active Directory, actually launched at Ignite in September 2016. So we've been at it for a little over a year, like I mentioned before, and we're all about just creating great software that people love to use that helps a common problem that we see across a number of different industries. So the two questions we're asking at Ignite is, do you have Active Directory, and is it broken? And in most cases the answer was yes. So what we do is work with our Microsoft relationships, work with our channel partners to essentially light up all of your projects in the Microsoft technology stack by unlocking the power of AD by keeping your profiles up to date. You can just move on there. Can we get the next slide, please?
So that's on, Jacob. Are you able to see that?
I can't. Yeah, I can see the slide, but we'll move to the next one.
Okay. So that's about Hyperfish now. Do you want to cover?
Yep. You can go on.
Okay. So how does Hyperfish work, Jacob?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that to refresh. Sorry guys, bit of a delay on our end. So, hang on, yeah, it's not updating the actual slide. You know what I'm going to do instead? I'm going to show you. I think that'll be easier. Do you want to switch over to me?
Oh.
All right, give me a second, guys.
Okay. Do you have control, Jacob?
Yep. All right. So this is how it works. As I mentioned before, we're all about populating missing data and invalid data in Active Directory. We got three components to the Hyperfish product. The first one is analysis. So what we do is scan your Active Directory, and this is available as a complimentary report that you can run. The tool will scan your AD, produce a report that shows you all of your missing data inside of your AD profiles. Once you've done that, the next piece is to run the collection engine. So what we use is AI chatbot technology that goes through your AD and starts conversations with each individual user to populate the missing profile data. So if someone has a picture that's missing or a mobile phone number that's missing or could be invalid against what the company would like as a standard, the bot will actually talk to them over email and instant message and ask them to update their profile. The third piece is the suggestion engine. So over time, the bot will also start to make suggestions to the end users based on data that it finds about their profiles in other data sources, such as the Office graph. So we have the ability to read the Office graph, which means we have email signature data. So if you have your job title or your mobile phone number in your email signature, the bot will actually read that and make that suggestion to you as a profile update. Same thing goes for profile pictures in LinkedIn. So let me show you how this analysis piece works. I'm going to go ahead and type in my email address here. So anyone can actually go to app.hyperfish.com and run this analysis. So we have three options here: on-premises, hybrid, or in the cloud only. The important thing to note here is that you have on-premises and hybrid requiring only a domain user to be able to run this. So anyone can actually go into their Active Directory and scan their profiles and produce this report that will show anyone what is missing inside your AD. And the reason for that is because by default, Active Directory on premises and in hybrid mode is read-only to any user who has a domain account. If you are cloud only, then you would require an administrative account to actually run the analysis. The important thing to note here, however, is that none of the data is actually being sucked out of your AD to produce the report. What we're actually basing this report on is ones and zeros. So once you have run this against your AD, you would then receive a report that looks something like this. This is showing us our Active Directory accounts. So we have just over 3,000. And you can see right off the bat that we have 69% of basic account information missing. If we were to implement Hyperfish, we could potentially save around 12,000 hours per year. That's based on interactions between IT and other users trying to find each other within the Active Directory. So we base that on around 4 hours per user per year. And we have an entire ROI table that we could share with you after this call as well. So Hyperfish breaks down your Active Directory profile attributes into these 6 different sections. We have profile pictures, manager reports, position, location, and organization details, as well as contact information. Scrolling through the report, we start to see a better picture against the attributes that actually are used to make these categories. We also provide a bit of business value of why it makes sense to have these fields not only populated but accurate as well. For example, manager and reports is extremely important when you're trying to do things like org charts within your organization, as well as escalations for things like workflows. If you work in a company that has multiple office locations, or maybe even international office locations with things like different dialing codes and different address codes, you can actually start to create attributes that will help validate the data as it's being populated inside of AD. So once I've scanned my Active Directory, I've produced my analysis report, the next step is to have the chatbot start conversations with each of my users to start populating the information. So let me show you what that user experience looks like. Jumping into my email for Ann Wallace here, you can see I've received an email from our company chatbot called Woody. And you can see that's hyperbot@hyperfish.com. And what it's telling me is that I'm missing my manager field out of my company directory. I have 2 options for updating my profile data. One option is responding to this email and saying my department is marketing or my phone number is XYZ. In this case, I'm going to actually click on the Update My Profile button, which is going to take me to my profile page. Once that's loaded, this is where I can start making changes to my profile. And what we found with the number of customers that are actually running this is that once a user enters this profile area, they start updating other areas of their profiles that are invalid or out of date. So we're getting a great adoption rate around users self-service and managing their profiles and essentially crowdsourcing all of your Active Directory data back into the Microsoft stack. So here we have our contact information at the top. We also have our employment information as well as our location details. Now, there's a couple of things I want to show you here around validation and options for your attributes as well. So for example, I have my employment details. So I'm going to edit that field. And the update I'm making is to my manager. And that's a people picker. So again, I have the ability to change the validation and the requirements for these attributes based on my settings, which I'll show you in a second as well. So for my manager, I've actually selected the people picker option. For job title, I have free text as well as department. However, in these different attributes, I can have support for drop-downs. So if I wanted people to choose from a list of job titles or departments, I can do that. And I can also have phone number validation as well, which I'll show you in a second. So here I've updated my manager to Tony. I'm going to go ahead and click Save, and you can see that that's now pending. So although my profile actually does say that it's 100% complete, that change has not been written to Active Directory yet until an administrator actually approves it. So I have the ability to go through and select which fields require approval before being written back to AD. If I go ahead and edit my contact information, here you'll see my mobile phone number. Now this requires a very specific format. And this is really important for things like Skype for Business. So if I want to do one-click calls, I need to make sure that my dial codes are in there correctly and any other international codes and the format is set up. So if I go and try and enter something that's incorrect, you'll notice that it's telling me that it must be a valid phone number. We also have the ability to validate your profile pictures. Now this is really important for companies that want to allow their end users to be able to self-service their profile pictures, but in a fashion that can be governed a little bit. So without going crazy and allowing people to upload things like cat pictures or cartoon characters, we have the ability to govern that in a certain level. And I'll show you the settings of that in a moment, but let me demonstrate how this works. So if I'm going to change my profile picture, what I'm essentially going to do is try to upload this image here. Now this is us at Ignite and our Customer Success Manager, Justin. So if I go ahead and try to validate this image, what's essentially going to happen is it's going to tell me this does not match our appropriate profile picture validation. It thinks that there are too many faces. If I try to start over again, I'm going to actually shrink that down to be just the face. Let me validate that. And that's telling me it looks good. So I'll go ahead and try and save that. You can see that it's pending. One really important thing to note here. This photo will be written to Active Directory and shrunk down to 100 kilobytes because that is what Active Directory holds in the thumbnail attribute. However, Exchange Online and Office 365 and SharePoint all take different sized photos. So Hyperfish will actually resize the photo and upload it to all those other data sources to ensure that your photos are kept in sync no matter which site you're visiting. Alright, so now we have the profile experience. I've shown you what the notifications look like. I've shown you what the profile page looks like. Let me show you some of the configuration options we have around the chatbot as well as our attribute settings. So the first thing I want to show you is that as we jump into our dashboard, we are getting a very similar experience to the analysis report that we showed you before, with one major difference. As users start to populate their profile data and correct the profile data, you'll start to see a trend display here of the profile attributes being updated by the end users. We also have the ability to go into our approval screen here, and you can see those changes that I've tried to make for my manager and profile picture are requiring approval. So approvers of the system can actually go into this screen and sort by attribute or by user and then approve and reject different attributes, whichever they feel are necessary changes or need modification. We also have a full event log, so we can see all of the profile data that's being updated. We can search by specific users, we can filter it by specific dates, and also filter out analysis versus profile updates as well. So this is really handy to actually see the progress and see what might be being rejected a lot, and also see different users and how they're progressing. If I go into my settings here, I want to point out a couple of things. Hyperfish can be run in just analysis mode. So if you just want to scan your AD and see all of the profile data that's missing, you can do that with the analysis. The pilot mode allows me to run it with a specific set of users, and run mode will allow me to run it across the entire AD. The approval section is pretty straightforward. This is where I can turn approvals on. I have the ability to select which of my attributes are automatically approved. So for example, mobile phone number and postcode is automatically approved. The rest will require approval. In the timing section, this defines how frequently the approvers will be notified of a request for approval. So in this instance, we have an immediate request. So that means anyone in the approval list will receive an email notifying them that there is an approval pending for a particular profile change. Under my attribute settings, so this is where I get to configure all of my attributes and what type of format I want it to display in. So you'll notice here, for example, I have my profile picture that we talked about. So let's have a look at what that actually looks like. So here I can go into my profile picture, I can give people some hint text, I can make it required or read-only. So for example, if you have another system that manages your emails or manages your first name and last name, you can actually make those read-only. I can also provide the end user with some hint text and also control the format as I mentioned before. So phone number, that we looked at that format and it was invalid, I've actually got the pattern here set up using regular expression. So this pattern allows me to control and define what the end users put in that field. Now this is really important to note that if you are setting up a pattern that you expect from a particular attribute, Hyperfish will in fact retroactively go back and ensure that the attributes match the pattern that you've set, right? So if your Hyperbot goes back and sees that half of your phone numbers don't match the format that you want, it will email the end user and say, your phone number is invalid, please update it, based on the hint text that you've provided under the attribute screen. The profile picture validation allows me to control what is being uploaded. So you could see there that we are in quite a strict environment. We're not allowing multiple faces or racy content or multiple faces, as I mentioned before, sorry. And also, if it's an invalid image like a cartoon or something like that, it will pick that up as well. I also have the ability to control the branding of my Hyperfish profile page. So if you aren't comfortable with having the Hyperfish logo on there and you want to change it to your own company logo, or you want to change the color, for example, you can do that by just editing this screen here and then taking a look what that will look like. So you can see I've changed the color to black. I'm more comfortable with this, or I can change the logo like I mentioned before, and any of the highlight text as well can be modified. The Hyperbot settings themselves allows me to turn the bot on or off. So if you had the bot off, it would require people to just visit the profile page and make their changes. But here I'm able to give the bot a name. I give it a personality. So this will control the language that it uses when it communicates with the end users. So fun is going to be fairly humorous, relax will be quite casual, and serious will be very formal. We have tenacity for the bot. This will control how frequently the bot will reach out to users and how many times it's going to attempt for a profile update. For example, here I have my bot reaching out to the end users daily 7 times until it gets an update. So if someone updates their profile data that it's looking for on day 3, the bot will stop communicating with them. However, if it gets to attempt 7 and they still haven't done anything, it will give up. So profile validation we talked about, that allows us to turn the bot on to actually go ahead and communicate with the end users based on invalid data. And we also have our contact channels via email and Skype for Business, which will be available very shortly. So there you have it, folks. That is the product end to end. So we have our bot communicating with our end users. We have the ability to go ahead and make changes to our profiles and have full governance control around the approvals and also validation of those profile fields. This is extremely important for all of your Microsoft investments that leverage Active Directory data, as well as non-Microsoft investments. So all of the latest People Hub features and Microsoft Delve in Office 365 and the new Microsoft Teams that was just recently announced, all of these features require your Active Directory profile data to be up to date and accurate for those features to function correctly. And that's it, guys. So I will switch it back over to you.
Thanks, Jacob. Thank you for that demo. Really enjoyed that. I'm going to just switch back to my screen. I can see a few people have some questions, so let me just see if we can take those on quickly before I begin. Okay, so sorry, I'm just wondering, Jacob, are you able to see everybody's questions there?
Yes, I can. Someone was asking if they were able to rebrand the profile page, but I think that came through just before I got to that section. So yes,
okay,
yes,
sure.
you can.
Okay, cool. Okay, sure. So I'll move on then to the next part of the webinar, which is all around the Antares corporate directory solution called OneSearch. Just wanted to check with you all again. You can see my screen now. I know there's a bit of lag for you, Jacob.
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay, great. Thank you. So the Antares Corporate Directory solution was really born and developed after a number of client requests around having about having a single source of truth for information that exists in multiple information systems. So typically, when we spoke to our customers, they'd come back and say, well, we've got our email address and a name in Active Directory. We've got our expertise about our skills, etc. in SharePoint. I've got my contractor information in Lotus Notes, but I've got my delegation details in my SAP system. All my employees and the reporting lines are all captured in my HR system, and I've got my phone details, etc., all in my bespoke system that I've developed over the years. So how do I manage all of that rich employee information I've got in a single source in a single place that allows the rest of the organization to be able to find people based on a number of criteria, such as skills or their manager information, or which floor they sit on, or what language do they speak, for that matter. So this is really why OneSearch was developed. Its key capability is its ability to pull in information from multiple systems and present that in a single source, as a single source of truth. OneSearch works on SharePoint. So it works on SharePoint on-premise, or it can be deployed on SharePoint Online as part of your Office 365 suite. OneSearch is also capable of housing its own data. So many organizations going through mergers or going through change management processes who do not have basically all of their data sorted can also use OneSearch to house information of its own. Some of the key features of OneSearch, therefore, are its ability to create rich profile information of people. I'll delve into that a bit more in the live demonstration. But here in the screen, you can see on the right-hand side, all of this information has been pulled in from people from various other systems. It has a smart search capability, which allows people to be able to find people not only by their name, but as I said before, like their skills, mobile number, etc., fairly easily. And the key thing about the smart search capability is that you don't have to spell people's names right. So, if I search for Jeff as an example, G-E-O-F-F, I'm also going to be able to find results which sound similar to Jeff, like J-E-F-F as an example. So the smart search capability is really handy to be able to find people's information and to be able to find people effectively. It also has integration with Outlook and Skype for Business. So as soon as you look up a person, you are able to identify whether that person's online or whether that person's available now or in a meeting, and then you can start to engage in direct conversations from that person from the OneSearch screen. You can export the data. A lot of the times organizations want to be able to do headcount reporting. They want information. They want this information to be able to check how's their new world going to be if they go through a change management exercise, as an example. Or people want to be able to print information and stick it up on their desks. That's all possible with the OneSearch tool. The other key benefit is its ability to create organization charts. So as it finds information from your Active Directory or other sources of information, it will dynamically create these organization charts for you, so you don't have to maintain static PDF organization charts every time somebody's manager changes. We've covered this before. The integration with backend systems is one of the core features of OneSearch, so you can pretty much configure OneSearch to pull in information from any system you like. We can build little plugins that can allow you to do that. And as Jacob covered with Hyperfish, users can be empowered to update information. So this information could go directly to Hyperfish as an example, allowing people to update their profiles, or can go to SharePoint as well. And it's a custom branded solution. So every time we do a deployment, it's the branding, etc., is all reflected based on the organization's branding guidelines. So just to summarize before I get into the demo mode, you have the ability with OneSearch to pull in information from multiple sources of information into a single staff directory. You have the ability to find staff by multiple ways based on key attributes. It provides a very fast and accurate, up-to-date view of all staff within the organization, and has real-time organization chart capability that allows you to find who's reporting to who within the organization. Okay, so let me just quickly switch over to the my demonstration. So this is the out-of-the-box view for OneSearch. This is deployed as part of any intranet we do, but it also can be deployed as a standalone. When I on this view, immediately I will start to get to see people sorted in alphabetical order for all of the information, all of the employees within the organization I have. I can then quickly see on the right-hand side all of the information that is being pulled in from different systems. So it could be people's assistant, their phone numbers, call signs, extra duties, their responsibilities, whether they're both part-time, full-time, where do they sit on within the organization, which division, branch, etc. do they work in. But I also have the ability to then see if the person's online, as I said before, and then start to basically directly engage with that person through IMs or through emails based on their status availability. I have the ability to slice and dice this information in a number of ways, so I can sort it the way I want. I can depending on my organization needs, I can choose different names for these. I can customize what information is being pulled in from what system, and also what do I want to these fields to be named as. So as an example, phone might be called desk phone. That's just one silly example, if you like. Or position can be called job title. Or you may want to have a completely different field called skills, as an example. So this information here, as well as the contact card on the right, is very configurable based on what your requirements are. The export functionality will export all of the information I see in the grid here, and then will into an Excel spreadsheet, which will then allow me to slice and dice that information a number of different ways. So once I have selected a person, if I want to see if I want to see what their reporting lines are, who does they report to, etc., I can just easily click on the tree view, which will then give me information about who does this person report to, as well as who are the people reporting to this person. And that's a very fast and a quick, efficient way to be able to find out what the reporting lines within the organization are. But also, if I wanted to see a more traditional hierarchy of organization chart within the organization, I can see that through the organization chart view here as well. And as I zoom into to my organization structure, I will start to see more and more information. And I can traverse through this list and then start to see the entire organization as I feel to do so. The last tab is around office structures. So many organizations have different branches at different locations within the organization, multiple regional offices reporting to the head office. If you have that sort of structure within the organization, you have the ability to create organization charts of office locations as well within the organization. So those are basically the 4 key tabs that are available. As I said before, all of this information is highly customizable based on what your requirements are. You also get the advanced search capability. So again, you can pick and choose which fields that you'd like to be available in the advanced search, but that then allows you to be able to quickly search and find results based on, as an example, I want to find out all people working in marketing. And that quick advanced search mode will allow me to do so, and then I can export that if I want to, or I can then directly interact with those people if I wish to do so there. And also, as I said before, the system has got a smart fuzzy logic which searches within all of the attributes within the database. So if I want to search for people who are fire wardens, as an example, I can just type that in, and it'll start to come up there. So I've just typed in F there, but if I type in fire or anything closely sounding like fire, it's just going to find me people based on fire warden responsibilities. I mentioned before, it's got if I spell people's name even incorrectly, it's going to find me people sounding with that name. So here is an example. This name sounds close, similar to Jean. If I go GEO, it's going to find me Jeff in there as well. So that's just one example of how the fuzzy logic search will work. And if I type in the entire name, it's going to find me Jeff, spelling the GEOFF as well as JEFF there. So that's a quick rundown of the OneSearch functionality. Again, OneSearch really builds upon what Hyperfish does around cleansing your Active Directory data and then allowing you to visualize that information in a rich manner, basically. So with that, I'd just like to open the floor. If there are any questions, feel free to ask. Stuart, thanks for attending the session. We'll touch base with you after the webinar if you have any further questions. Thanks for attending the session there. Any other questions from anybody so far? While we are waiting, just don't forget, you can always contact me there on my email address. If you have any further questions after the session today, feel free to follow us on LinkedIn, on both Antares Solutions and Hyperfish for any future events and webinar sessions. And as Jacob mentioned before, you can go to app.hyperfish.com and conduct a free Hyperfish directory analysis using the tool over there.
I do got one question coming through saying, how long does it take for that scan to run? So for example, as a 4,000 seat organization, that would be a matter of seconds, really. I mean, we could run about 500,000 users in less than 10 minutes. So it is quite rapid, so you'll get your report pretty quickly. Thanks for that question.
Great to know. Thanks, Jacob, and thanks, Elise, for asking the question. Any other questions before we wrap it up? Okay. So thank you all for attending today's session. We hope you all found it worthwhile and useful. As I said before, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. We'll be more than happy to assist you with any further questions you have. In the meantime, thank you again for attending the session, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.